There are three things that everyone knows about Julius Fox, the world-famous genius detective. The first is that he's crazy about orchids. I was updating the records on his Sapphirnitis Diana when the doorbell rang.
You must be Mr. Dash.
My friends call me Chandler. You can call me yours forever.
I was told you'd be charming. My name is Greta Goode. I'm here to see Mr. Fox.
Are you sure about that? I'm easier to look at. The second thing everyone knows about Julius Fox is that he distrusts women and deals with them as little as possible. I'm afraid Mr. Fox doesn't see anyone without...
What's the meaning of this?
Mr. Fox, this is...
Miss Greta Goode. What is she doing in my office?
You recognize me.
Anyone who has seen a newspaper in the last couple of weeks would recognize you. My condolences on the death of your father. What can I do for you?
I have a job for you. A case.
What kind of case?
Murder.
Sit down, Miss Goode. I like eyes at a level. You believe your father was murdered?
No, Mr. Fox.
Then whose murder are we talking about?
Mine.
I pride myself on my powers of observation, madam, as they are critical in my profession, and you appear perfectly alive to me.
I believe someone is out to kill me, and I would like you to stop it before it happens.
If someone is determined to kill you, Miss Goode, there is little that I or anyone else could do to prevent it. However, I will humor you for a moment. Why do you believe someone would wish you dead?
Money, of course. My father was a very wealthy man, and I am a sole heir. Many of my associates and some of his are, shall we say, displeased.
While the lust for money drives people to commit all kinds of unspeakable acts, it takes a special personality to be willing to kill for it. Which of your associates do you believe is capable of murder?
Just about all of them, Mr. Fox. First, there's Raymond Cook, my father...
Greta's suspects included Raymond Cook, son of her father's late business partner, Carl Cook; Sharon Elizabeth Cook, Raymond's mother and Carl Cook's widow; Albert Goode, Greta's penniless uncle; Lucy Valdon, Gregor Goode's personal secretary; Elaine Temper, Raymond Cook's secretary; Shirley Temper, Elaine's delinquent daughter; Phoebe Stahl, oh, there she is, playwright, director, and die-hard feminist; Audrey Harding, actress and Greta Goode's best friend; and Bill Breslow, Gregor Goode's valet.
Will you take the case, Mr. Fox?
I will not.
But you must. If this is about money, I can pay you anything you wish.
No, Miss Goode. The job is preposterous. Your list of suspects is everyone you know, which is utterly absurd. You claim someone is out to kill you based purely on a vague motive involving money. I suspect you're suffering from paranoia. You need a physician, not a detective. Good day.
I'm sorry for wasting your time, Mr. Fox. Too bad, Mr. Dash. I was looking forward to being under your protection.
Where do you think you're going?
Mr. Fox, I'm officially offering my resignation.
Phooey, sit down.
I refuse to work for a man who would be that rude to the woman I intend to marry.
Shut up. You do not believe that one of those people is out to kill her.
I agree that it's unlikely. However, for that kind of money and those kind of legs, I'm willing to humor her.
You think I was too harsh with her?
I think she's rich, she's scared, and we haven't had a case in 3 weeks. Wouldn't hurt us to look into it. It sure wouldn't hurt you, since I'll be doing the looking.
Phooey. Try to reach Miss Goode by telephone and see what she's willing to pay as a retainer.
I withdraw my resignation until the engagement is official.
Phooey!
I was not able to reach Miss Goode by telephone that evening, so I decided to start working on her case the next morning. After breakfast, of course.
What's that smell?
I added a little basil to the ous au beurre.
That's not how you say that.
I am Swiss, not French.
You don't mix basil with black butter. Take this travesty away.
I will not. If you are going to eat this morning, you will eat this.
I'll take it, Franz. His nibs can afford to miss a meal or two.
Shut up and leave the food. If I choke on it, I hold you responsible.
The third thing everyone knows about Julius Fox is that he loves his food, and he doesn't tolerate interruptions at mealtime.
Let me in, Dad!
Where is he?
Morning, Inspector. Care for some breakfast?
Out of my way, Dash.
A visit from Inspector Crabbe of Homicide did not bode well for breakfast. Unfortunately, it didn't bode well for Greta Goode either.
To what do I owe this dubious pleasure?
Cut the crap, Fox, and tell me everything you know about Greta Goode.
I know nothing more than what you've undoubtedly read in the newspaper for yourself.
There's going to be a new story in the paper today. Miss Goode's body was found a block from her estate this morning, run down by a car.
That's a most terrible and unfortunate accident. However, I don't see how this has anything to do with me.
Your name and address were found on a note in her pocket. We tracked down the cab driver that dropped her off here. What was she doing here, Fox?
She came to inquire about a case.
Yeah, what kind of case?
I do not divulge information about my cases without good reason.
She was murdered. Is that good enough for you? We found the car that hit her, abandoned a few blocks away. It had been reported stolen earlier. Now, what kind of case did you say that was?
Miss Goode said that she believed that someone was out to kill her, and she asked for my protection.
Nice work, genius. Did you have Dash here draw a map for the killer?
I declined to take the case.
You what? The girl came to you for help and you pushed her out the door? Why?
I am a detective, not a mere bodyguard.
Jesus, Fox! If you had swallowed your damn pride for once, this girl would still be alive. I should arrest you for negligence.
Phooey! Declining a job is not against the law.
Yeah, well, now that there's a body to make things more interesting for you, maybe you can put that genius brain to work.
I intend to, as soon as you leave us in peace.
None of your fancy tricks this time. You find something, you call me, or I'll take you in. You too, Dash.
Chandler, begin investigating Miss Goode's list of suspects immediately.
Yes, sir. I'm also going to stop by police headquarters, get more information out of Crabbe. Left in kind of a hurry.
You know, we probably couldn't have saved her. The killer would have just waited until her guard was down.
Yes, sir. I know how it works. We're going to nail this creep.
That we will.
I beat the streets for 3 days, turning over every stone and peeking in every dark alley. I came up with some juicy tidbits on our suspects, but nothing that pointed to a murderer. As unlikely as it seems, not one of the suspects had a reliable alibi for the night Greta was killed. The police were having no more luck than we were. On the 6th of December, Fox decided he wanted to speak to all the suspects and arranged a meeting in his office. It was up to me to persuade them to come.
Fox, I understood this was supposed to be a private meeting.
You are...
Why are all these people here?
You are all suspects in the murder of Greta Goode. And I will question you one at a time. And if the murderer is here, as I believe he or she is, they will reveal themselves to me.
We've all been questioned over a dozen times by the police.
Yes, and the police are quite adequate in routine cases. But in a case of this complexity, it takes a more subtle intellect. Now, if I am able to uncover the murderer tonight, the rest of you will be able to put this behind you. And all I'm asking is for a little of your time.
Fine.
Very well, Mr. Goode. Since you seem to be the most talkative, why don't we start with you first? Take a seat. And the rest of you, sit down. Now, Mr. Goode, exactly how do you earn your living?
What? What's that got to do with anything?
Well, my associate, Mr. Dash, has been investigating each of you for the past several days. And Mr. Goode, he's been unable to determine a source of income for you. I find that very interesting. What do you have to say about that?
I work. I do odd jobs and consulting, things like that.
Come now, Mr. Goode. You expect us to believe that you maintain your lifestyle through odd jobs?
Well, my brother would help me out a little bit from time to time. Oh, all right, it's no big secret. Gregor helped me out a lot. He was my main source of income.
And did he leave you anything in his will?
What kind of a detective are you anyway? Everybody knows he didn't leave me a cent.
And how did you feel about this oversight?
How do you think I felt? I was angry, I was furious, I was hurt.
And was Miss Goode likely to continue to provide support for you?
Not bloody likely. She and I hadn't gotten along together since she was knee-high. Look, if you're trying to prove I have a motive, I do. So does everybody else in this area. But Greta was a selfish, spoiled brat and didn't deserve to get her father's money. But I didn't want her dead. She was my niece, for God's sake.
And do you stand to benefit from Greta's passing?
How would I know? Nobody here knows whether they're going to get anything from the estate until the attorneys sort it all out.
Well, then how do you intend to provide for yourself?
Oh, don't worry about me. I'll be able to take care of myself.
In exactly what manner?
That's my business.
Very well. Where were you the night Greta was killed?
I was out to dinner with a friend until about 10, then home and to bed.
And with whom did you dine?
That's personal. I didn't tell the police and I'm not about to tell you.
Mr. Goode, you mean to tell me there's one person that can provide you with an alibi, no matter how slim, and you refuse to tell either the police or myself who that is?
Yes.
That seems very suspicious, Mr. Goode, but that is your choice to make. Do you have anything else to say?
No!
Very well. Mr. Raymond Cook, I'd like to speak with you now. Mr. Cook, in many ways it seems that you have the best reason for anyone here to want Greta Cook dead.
Why would you say that?
Well, I understand that you were trying to recently purchase Greta's half of the business.
Well, yeah, I tried, but she wouldn't sell. She said she was taking over for her father.
And if she had sold to you, wouldn't that have made you the sole proprietor in the business?
Well, yeah, but
And I also understand that you had a falling out with Gregor Cook just before his death. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, ever since my father died, I've been trying to find ways to expand the business. I was talking with some friends one night about the war in Europe when I had an idea. If we enter into this war, our military is going to need all the munitions they can get their hands on. And it wouldn't take much to convert our kitchen supply factories into munitions factories. We could easily make 3 times what we're making now. I approached Gregor with the idea some months ago.
I see, and how did he react?
He laughed at me. He said we would never enter into this petty skirmish with Europe, and even if we did, he said, we make pots and pans, not missiles and bullets. He told me to forget it.
And did you?
No. I was tired of Gregor pushing me around just like he always did to my father. This company is as much mine as it was his.
Oh, Raymond, honey, I think you meant to say that this company is as much your mother's as it was his.
Of course, Mother. Anyway, I quietly converted one of our smaller, more remote factories into a munitions factory. When I learned what I could, I approached some of my government contacts and started making some quiet deals. When I had some signed contracts, I approached Gregor with the idea again.
And was Gregor more receptive this time around?
Just the opposite. He yelled, he raved. At one point, I thought he was going to strike me. He was furious that I went behind his back. And he said that he would never make weapons even if he made 1,000 times more. Then he tried to tell me I was fired and threatened to have me escorted from the building. My mother would never allow that to happen to me.
Never.
But then he called my military contacts and told them I had deceived them. He basically destroyed my reputation.
And I understood Gregor Goode met his death just 3 days after this incident. That seems very convenient.
Hardly. I was the primary suspect until his death was determined in fact to be an accident.
Yet you've clearly benefited from his death, just as you will benefit from Greta's death.
How dare you accuse me of murder?
I accuse you of nothing. I merely state the fact. With Gregor Goode and Greta Goode out of the way, there's no one to stand in your way of taking full ownership of the company.
Well, that's true, but I would have never hurt Greta because I...
Because of what, Mr. Cook?
Because I loved her!
Oh, Raymond!
Oh, police! Who didn't see that coming?
That's right, I loved her and she loved me too.
What?
In fact, we were engaged to be married.
Oh my God, Raymond! You mean to sit there and tell me you were actually engaged to that little hussy?
Yes, Mother, and don't talk about her that way. I hid it from you because you've always hated Greta and I never understood why! We planned to elope. When Gregor was yelling at me in his office that day, he said he would never let me near his daughter again. When I went to see her that night, I was met at the door by Mr. Breslow, Gregor's personal valet, who told me I wasn't welcome there anymore. I didn't talk to Greta again until the next day on the phone when she told me it was over.
And so do you have an alibi for the night Greta was murdered?
No, Mr. Fox. I've been spending all my time alone in my apartment for the past week, trying to figure out how I was going to save this business. But more importantly, trying to figure out how I was going to get Greta back. You see, I still love her.
Oh, Raymond! Stop saying that! You couldn't possibly have loved that horrible, conniving strumpet.
But I did, Mother! I did!
Oh, God, Raymond! You have no idea how a terrible person she was! Oh.
Miss Cook! Miss Cook, why do you hate Greta Goode?
Oh. Hate Miss Goode? Whatever do you mean? I don't hate Greta. I just don't think she was right for my son.
Phooey! It doesn't take a genius to see that you're lying.
Oh, very well. Raymond, I am sorry that you have to hear it like this, but yes, I hated Greta. And you want to know why?
No.
She killed your father.
That's ridiculous, Mother. Father committed suicide!
Well, yes, he did, but did you ever wonder why he killed himself?
No!
I mean, it wasn't money. It wasn't stress. It wasn't depression. That little tramp made your father believe that she loved him. And then when she showed her true colors, he killed himself.
Well, how do you know your husband loved Miss Goode?
Oh, well, he told me so. You see, Carl and Greta Goode took the kids on a fishing trip back in the summer of '36, and I was afraid that Greta was going to catch my Raymond's eye. But it was my husband Carl who got hooked on that fishing trip. And, I mean, besides, after that, he just became distant and distracted. She just entranced him. And then, of course, Carl being the romantic, he thought he was in love, the damn fool. And then what's worse, he thought he had to do the honorable thing and come and tell me about it before he went and professed his love to Greta. I mean, I screamed and I cried, I made threats. I did everything a wife is supposed to do. But he left me anyway.
Oh, and what happened next?
I played that night out in my mind 1,000 times. I can see Carl go to Greta and get down on his knee and profess his love. And then that tramp, she laughs in his face. And then turns away from him. Poor Carl. He crashes to the ground. In one night, he's ruined his marriage, and then in turn is ruined by the very woman he thought he loved. He chooses to take his own life rather than to live with his shame. That's why I hated Greta. Hey!
And Miss Cook, did you kill Greta Goode?
No, Mr. Fox, I did not. If I had, I'd be proclaiming it proudly. In fact, the only reason she didn't die by my hand long ago was, well, I lacked the courage.
And so why did you not expose her?
Like Dad wanted to?
Oh, Raymond. Well, Gregor could be most persuasive. He convinced me to keep my suspicions to myself. And frankly, it would be a small price to pay to be convicted of her death. I mean, the joy and the relief I feel. It's great.
So what was your alibi for the night that Greta was murdered?
Mr. Fox, you and the police can go ahead and convict me of her murder. I would be just totally happy with that. So I'm done.
Madam, it seems that you are nothing if not candid. But let us move on. Miss Elaine Temper, I understand you've been making some accusations in regards to Gregor. Please come share those with us.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Fox.
Chandler.
Yes, sir.
Now, I understand you're claiming that Gregor Fox was the father of your daughter Shirley?
He was, Mr. Fox. I can prove it. In 1926, at the company Christmas party, Gregor propositioned me. Mr. Goode could be very persuasive. We began a brief affair, and a few weeks later, I discovered I was pregnant. Well, when I confronted Gregor, he agreed to pay me $500 a week until the child was 18 if I would keep it quiet. I've got the check stubs to prove it.
It's true, Mr. Fox. I examined them myself. They seem legit.
Well, of course they're legit. And on top of that, Gregor said he'd leave Shirley and me a chunk of his fortune when he passed. Imagine my surprise when the will was read and he left everything to that spoiled, rotten daughter of his. Now I'm demanding my fair share. I want $1 million or I'll thrust this company into a scandal from which it will never recover.
Calm yourself, Miss Temper. I will not tolerate these outbursts in my office. That's better.
Oh, my heart.
Now, there's one thing I still don't understand.
What?
$500 a week is an awful lot of money for one person. Why would you still need to be a secretary?
Part of my agreement with Gregor was that I would continue with my job. I think he wanted to keep an eye on me. Oh, as I said before, Gregor could be most persuasive.
So that's how she kept her job. It certainly wasn't her job performance.
Oh.
Now, Miss Temper, do you have an alibi for the night Greta Goode was murdered?
Well, of course I do. I was home all night with my daughter, Shirley.
No, she wasn't.
Shirley, hold your tongue.
Young Miss Temper, what do you have to share with us?
Mom wasn't home most of the night, and neither was I.
Shirley, shut your mouth, you little brat.
Madam, shut up and let the young lady speak.
You always say not to lie, Mom.
You should tell the truth, Shirley.
And I'm not going to.
Oh.
Mom went out the night Greta was killed. She said she was having dinner with a friend, but didn't tell me who.
And what time did she leave, and what time did she return?
She left about 6:30, and I don't know when she returned because I left the house at 8.
And where did you go, and what did you do?
I was hanging out with some friends. We broke into a house.
I see. Do you and your friends normally get up to these type of activities?
Yeah, we do all kinds of stuff. Smoke, drink, steal stuff. One time, we stole a car.
Shirley.
And did you happen to steal a car that evening?
Maybe, maybe not.
Well, why are you telling me all of this?
So you'll believe me.
Believe what?
I killed Greta.
Young lady, that's a very serious confession. Why would you want to kill Greta Goode?
I always hated her. She had everything I wanted. She had all the money in the world. She got to travel and go to parties. She was always mean to me, treating me like a kid. And Raymond...
Oh, what about Raymond?
Nothing.
Come now, Miss Temper, you've been perfectly candid up till now.
Fine. Raymond loved her, and that wasn't fair.
I see.
Then Mom said that Gregor was my dad, which meant that me and Greta were sisters. But she got all the good stuff.
And did you know that Gregor was your father before your mother announced it at the reading of the will?
No, she didn't tell me who my father was when I asked. Gregor was never very nice to me either. None of the grown-ups were, except Albert, but he's kind of creepy. Anyways, Gregor always just ignored me.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Do you have anything else to say?
Aren't you gonna arrest me? I said I killed her.
Well, I'm not an officer of the law, and I can't arrest anyone. But I will question all the suspects and determine who the murderer is this evening.
I knew you wouldn't believe me.
Well, I believe you have as much reason as anyone else here to want Greta Good Dad. And trust me, if you are the murderer, you will not escape my wrath.
Fine. Just don't treat me like a little baby.
You have my word. Now we have a few more people to talk to. I understand that recently Greta Good expressed an interest in the theater. And Miss Stahl, can I say how honored I am to have an artiste of your caliber in my home this evening?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fox. You seem to have good taste. A rarity in a man.
Indeed. And Miss Harding, what a pleasure. I believe you were Miss Greta Good's closest friend. It will be refreshing to hear something a little bit more positive about Greta than the negativity we've heard already.
Greta Good was a deceitful, backstabbing, selfish, spoiled brat.
Great detecting their genius.
Well, Greta and I were quite close before her father died.
And you, Miss Stahl, how did you feel about Greta?
Well, I had thought she was a feller warrior in the great feminist battle being raged in our country. But she proved to be nothing more than a pawn of the masculine elite.
And what happened to change your opinions of her?
Well, since you're a genius detective, you probably already know that Greta, Phoebe, and I were working on a show together. Phoebe wrote and will direct it.
Why, yes, I'm almost done with the script.
She's been saying that for months.
Oh, yeah, we've heard that before.
Anyway, as I was saying, we're working on a show together. Greta and I were working on the casting and costuming. She, of course, was providing most of the funding for the show. Her father, though, purchased an old theater for us to renovate. He got a good deal on it. I heard he could be most persuasive. Anyway, everything was going fine until her father died, and she decided she was going to run the business.
Yes, she said she had no more time for playing around in the theater, as if theater were simply a game that you could box up and walk away from. It's a way of life.
So how did the two of you meet, Miss Greta Good?
Well, I starred in Phoebe's last production, Chains of Ironing. It was a flop, a total failure.
Oh, the male-dominated society is just not ready for such a powerful feminist message.
Yes, Phoebe, we know. Anyway, I met Greta at a party in February. She had seen Chains of Ironing and loved it.
Oh, yes. It's because of the Gretas of the world that I do what I do. Greta was inspired to rise up and throw off the male oppression of greed and grasp the power of lust. No, that is completely wrong, I think. But it is close enough. She was greedy. Yes. Oh, my God.
She wanted to be an actress. Right?
Yes, she did. And she had such passion and such energy and such spirit.
She had piles of money. Anyway, everything was going fine until her father died. She decided she was going to pull out, taking her money with her.
Greta was consumed by the slathering monster of greed and its twin, the lust for power.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
So what does this mean for your show?
What do you think it means? It's over! Done!
Oh, it's a blow to our show. Not only to our show, it was so good, but to the feminist cause worldwide.
Well, surely there's other ways of raising funds.
Not after our last fiasco.
Well, explain.
As I was saying earlier, our last show was a flop. We lost a good deal of money. After that, no one wanted to invest. Until Greta came along.
And who were the investors in Chains of Ironing?
Well,
there are many who support the sisterhood.
Mostly private investors.
Who believed in our cause, the feminist cause.
Phooey, that's a lie.
How can you say that?
I've been giving the two of you a chance to come clean, but I already know who the investors in Chains of Ironing were. Chandler, tell them what they've won.
My source in the mob recognized you dames right off. Seems it was Carmine Rizzo, the notorious mob boss himself, who gave her the money to do the show. Seems he was rather taken with Phoebe.
I don't need any man's charity.
Yeah, well, you're lucky Rizzo was feeling charitable. Gave him to the end of the year to pay him off. The end of the year is almost here. If you don't pay him off soon, it's curtains for you.
It's true! It's true! I put my fate in the hands of a man and look what happens. We're doomed. We're doomed.
Yes, Phoebe. Oh, get yourself together. We'll figure it out.
The two of you are planning on stealing the money from Greta Goode.
Oh, something like that. It doesn't matter now anyway. But this can prove that neither of us could have done it. With her gone, we'd have no access to her money. Killing her would have been suicide.
On the contrary, Miss Harding, there is no one desperate. There's no one more unpredictable than desperate people, and there is no one else in this room as more desperate than the two of you. Now, do you have anything else to say in your defense?
No, I believe we've said quite enough already.
Very well. There are only a few more of you that left a question. Miss Faldon, what was your relationship to Greta Goode?
I was her father's personal secretary. I never knew Greta that well.
Well, rumor has it that the two of you didn't get along.
That's hardly a surprise now, isn't it, Mr. Fox? It seems that Miss Goode got along with no one.
Well, what specifically was the problem between the two of you?
She always believed I was out to seduce her father.
And were you?
I would say that it's the other way around.
So Gregor Goode was in fact out to seduce you. Did he succeed?
That is a very personal question, Mr. Fox.
Madam, there are no personal questions when it comes to murder.
Yes, my relationship with Gregor went beyond the purely professional. Gregor could be persuasive. This began only a few months ago, about the middle of September. Greta had been suspicious of me ever since I started my job, long before there was anything going on.
And were others aware of your relationship with Gregor?
There were rumors. There were always rumors. We weren't open about it. Gregor seemed to enjoy sneaking around about it, even though we were both adults and we were doing nothing wrong.
And Miss Goode, was she aware of your relationship as a matter of fact other than just rumor?
Not that I know of. She probably would have tried to kill me.
So had Greta Goode survived, would your job have been secure?
Not a chance. Look, I know what you're driving at, Mr. Fox. However, simply keeping my job seems hardly an adequate motive for murder.
I agree, but I believe you have a greater interest in the company than just a secretarial job. In fact, I believe you've been in conversations with Raymond Cook about a partnership.
What? Where did you hear that?
Madam, you're speaking to the world's greatest detective. Do you deny that you've been having conversations with Raymond Cook about the future of the company?
So what if I did? Maybe I'm not just some dumb secretary. Maybe I have some good ideas.
And do those ideas involve the mafia and selling arms to the enemy?
What are you talking about?
Chandler, Tell her what she's won.
My source in the mob tells me that you've been talking to them about selling arms to their home country of Italy for their little war over there.
You've got me, Mr. Dash.
Yeah.
I've been negotiating business deals, and I'm good, too.
Yeah? How good are you?
You have no idea.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Except this country could enter the war tomorrow, and you would be a traitor.
And on top of that, neither Greta nor Gregor would have approved of those activities.
Oh, you think you're so smart, but you're not nearly as smart as you think you are, fat man. You don't know the half of...
I don't know the half of what, Miss Valdon.
I've got nothing else to say to you.
Mr. Breslow, what is your connection with Miss Valdon?
None, Mr. Fox. I don't have one.
Then why did you interrupt her?
No reason, Mr. Fox. I just don't like to see a lady upset, that's all.
Yet you stood by while I questioned every other woman at the table, and they faced my ire. That will not do, Mr. Breslow. Again, I ask you, what is your relationship with Miss Valdon?
And again, I'll tell you, Mr. Fox, I don't have one.
Phooey, sit down. Mr. Breslow, I admit, you're a bit of an enigma. Mr. Dash has been investigating you and cannot find anything in your background whatsoever, nor can we find any kind of motive for you to have wanted to remove Greta Goode. And I find that most interesting. What do you have to say about that?
Well, Mr. Fox, I would find it a fact that I'm just not that interesting, that's all.
Well, we shall see. I understand you are... We shall see. We shall see. I understand you were Gregor Goode's valet.
Among other things, Mr. Fox, I was also his friend.
Indeed. And what was your relationship with Greta Goode?
We never got along, Mr. Fox, but then again, Greta rarely got along with anyone, now did she?
Very well. And tell me more about your relationship with Gregor Goode.
Gregor had a lot on his shoulders. He needed someone to talk to. I just happened to be a very good listener.
And in your conversations, did Gregor ever mention anything of a personal or sensitive nature?
At times, Mr. Fox. But if you're asking me to reveal any of my friend's personal secrets, I'm not going to do it.
I sincerely doubt that Gregor Goode would have any objection to you revealing any information that led to the murderer of his daughter.
Like what?
Do not try my patience, Mr. Breslow. If Gregor ever said anything to you about fathering Shirley Temper, or said anything about saying something to his daughter about the relationship he was having with Miss Valdon, I want to know.
Boy now, Mr. Fox. Let's see. Miss Temper's claim that Shirley is Gregor's daughter is ludicrous. I did know about his relationship with Lucy, but as far as I know, he kept it from Greta. The fight with Raymond, I heard about it, and I did throw Raymond out of the house that one night when he came looking for Greta. Gregor didn't really approve of Greta's little foray into the theater. Not that he tried to stop her. Yes, Mr. Fox, I know a little something about just about everyone here. I even know a little something about you, Mr. Fox.
Indeed. Please enlighten us.
I know, Mr. Fox, that you had as much to do with Greta's murder as anyone else here. It's true. Greta came to Fox looking for help the very night that she was murdered. Our genius here turned her away.
Shut up. I will not stand for this insolence.
I've yet to see you stand for anything at all, Mr. Fox.
Chandler, get these idiots out of my house
Come on,
immediately.
you.
I need time
you guys
to
get out of
figure
here.
this out.
We're kicking you out, but we're also inviting you to dinner. Make your way to the dining room and Franz will feed you.
Is it dinner time?
It's dinner time.
All right.
You should know. So,
So based on the interviews that I had with the suspects, based on the police evidence that was presented to you, I have in fact solved the murderer and know who it is. And it is one of these people on the stage. And now I'll pass this over to Chandler Dash to explain.
Well, this was a tangled web with a bunch of evil, malicious people. Even if they're not killers, they've all got secrets to hide. And they all do. And we're going to start with Miss Shirley Timper, who, despite her claims, was not the killer. No, she's just a sad, lonely little girl who doesn't get enough attention from her mother. Who, by the way, Miss Elaine Timper never had an affair with Gregor Goode. In fact, it was Albert Goode with whom she had the affair. They went to Gregor when she became pregnant for the money, and he kept it hushed up. And then when Gregor died, she decided she was going to make a little more money by trying to squeeze him out of the. But they're not killers. At least they didn't kill Gregor.
All three of them?
Yeah. So yeah, you guys can go ahead. Once you're announced not the killer, you can get the heck out of here. We don't need to talk to you. Let's see. Then we have. Both Miss Phoebe Stahl and Miss Audrey, whatever your last name is. Harding. Miss Harding.
Hey, I had to remember.
Yeah.
You wrote it.
I told you I wasn't the murderer.
Well, they pretty much laid their souls bare on stage. They will die if they don't come. By the way, how are you going to come up with the money by the end of the?
Oh, you're going to give it to us.
Oh, I'm going to get it. No,
Show.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, they might be murdered, but they're not the murderers. Also, I believe that Miss Audrey was having a relationship with somebody, Mr. President. Okay. But you're still not killers. Okay, get out of here. Well, get out of here. I don't care if you're not a murderer.
Some of the stuff are getting noticed.
Yeah. So, then we come to Miss Sharon Elizabeth Cook, who could not hide her hatred for Greta Goode, making her just a bit too obvious. I don't think if she hadn't killed her in all this time, I don't think she was gonna do it. So you're out of here. Are we narrowing it down? How you expected? Well, the next. In some ways, the most likely suspect, Mr. Raymond Cook. Mama's boy, his heart was broken, and he had a lot of reason to kill, but he just didn't have the cojones to do it. Although he is apparently being manipulated into dealing with Henry, and yeah. So anyway, good luck running a business all by yourself, Mama's boy.
I told you I was innocent!
Which brings us to these two, Bill Bruslow and Lucy Valdon. Or, should I say, the notorious gangsters Benny and Bonnie Clyde. There's BC. Brother and sister team, where one of you is the killer.
That's it! Everybody back off!
What are you doing?
Getting out of here!
They said you killed Greta, is that true?
We don't have time to talk about this!
Cash, let me handle this! Ow!
Crab, you alright?
I'll live, just get them!
You're not getting out of here, Bonnie. The cops will be swarming this place before you get 2 blocks.
You're never gonna take us alive!
You did kill Greta. You've lost your mind.
I had to. She figured out who we were, and she was gonna go to the cops.
But we're thieves, not killers. We could have run.
I'm tired of running.
Bonnie, the cops are coming. Put down your gun and we can talk this out.
You'll never catch us! Come on, we'll make a break for the back door.
Wait! Bonnie! No! Bonnie! Bonnie!
Benny? They never took us alive, Benny. Just like we always said.
Bonnie! You bastards, you killed her!
So much death, so much senseless killing. Over money. The stuff you never have enough of. Little green things with George Washington's picture that men and women slave for, commit crimes for, die for. It's the stuff that has caused more trouble in the world than anything else ever invented, simply because there's too little of it.
Let's get you to a hospital.
Is that my sucking chest wound that I heard, or were you wheezing when you were chasing them?
Hey, you try eating Franz's cooking 3 times a day.
I'd love to.
Crab, I think this is the beginning of...
Shut up, Dash.